stürzt durch Raum und Zeit, Richtung Unendlichkeit.
Dark is a 2017 Netflix series that premiered last December. It is directed by Branbo Odar, who is most likely known to American audiences for directing Sleepless, a film I found to be a little underrated. Deontay Freese helped write it, and a quick look at IMDb shows that these two work together quite a bit, making German films that mostly seem to be well received. Dark is also one of the most watched German television shows of all time, only months after it being released, meaning that for Germany, this show had Netflix harder than Gwen Stacy hit the pavement in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. But in all seriousness, rip. The show takes place in Winden, a small town in Germany that has more child abduction issues than Hawkins, Indiana. Season 1 sets up a very intense tone. In episode 1 alone, we see a man hang himself, a child disappear, and a mutilated body of a different child pops up. Yeah, this show is pretty dark. Over the course of the season, more bodies appear and more characters disappear at different time periods, and... Okay, I'm gonna stop myself here because I'm saying way too much. Consider this your first and only spoiler warning. For those of you who don't want everything given away, I would highly recommend watching the first season. It is very good. In fact, it's so good I would argue that it's one of the best shows that come out in the past few years. What would compel me to say something so
bold and brash?
I'll tell you, but first let me change the music.
I'm living in that 21st century, doing something mean to it. Do it better than anybody you ever seen. Do it screams from...
Thanks, Kanye. Let's start with how insanely hard it is to make a show like this make sense. Time travel in media is famously inconsistent with plot points, and because of the amount of characters and timelines in Dark, this show could be harder to follow than your average X-Men timeline. Besides this, Dark in fact does a great job of helping the audience keep track of the storyline, because the first season takes place in one location. This is something many time travel films and shows fail to do, and here it really helps the audience keep track of the character movements and actions without worrying where they are. The show also does an excellent job of balancing the separate character arcs over huge amounts of time. The motivations of some change quite drastically as the show jumps around in 33-year intervals. For example, Helge in 1953 is only a child, but suffers an incident where he is nearly beaten to death, which clearly plays a big role in 1986, where he is working with Noah, but doesn't like what they're doing. I believe he sticks with it because some part of him is hoping that he can change his past experience and make everything normal for himself again, and erase the actions he is committing in 1986. Of course, when we see him in 2019, he is suffering from dementia and is struggling to remember his past because he feels that something terrible will happen in the present that is connected with him. All of this is just for one character. I didn't even get into Ulrich, Claudia, and the others who are shown to have character arcs spanning 33 years or more, and how their actions and decisions help influence the future and the past. And this isn't even mentioning what appears to be 2052 right at the end of the show, but we'll get into that, I promise. The writing is also really good for characters that on the surface can be one-dimensional. Hannah, for example, is madly in love with Ulrich, and that's essentially it. However, when she tells him,
hooked on a feeling, I'm high on believing that you're in love with me.
And he's like, no. We see the lengths that she goes to in order to try to win him back, and it's honestly a little scary. The casting of this show is also really well done. I'm not only talking about the acting of the cast, which is really good, but down to their appearances as well. Often when I saw a character in the past, I was able to believe that that was a good representation of how they would have likely looked. This really helps the audience keep track of the show even further, without the stress of who is who in past timelines. The casting department really outdid themselves here, not only with the actors, but even the appearances. One of my casting choices I really liked is the actors who played Alexander Tiedemann. Another point I want to make about Dark is that the mysteries that it sets up do not disappoint. What do you mean by that? I mean that the mysteries don't end up feeling fruitless, unlike some films that set up questions in a movie, but then the sequel ends up turning it into a complete nothing burger. But hey, at least we get Ben Swallow from The Last Jedi. Yes. In Dark, there are some really mind-blowing things that happen, as well as some twists that can be predicted with a watchful eye, such as finding out that the stranger is future Jonas, Mikkel becomes Jonas' father after getting trapped in 1986, and that all the married couples in the show hate each other, just like in real life. These reveals for the most part aren't earth-shattering, but they don't take away from the plot either. Like how finding out Mikkel is Jonas' father is something that can be guessed on before it is revealed, but only because the show does a good job of setting up a twist beforehand. The best part about the show is that there's so much more to unpack. Characters like Noah, Claudia, and Alexander Tiedemann, as well as many others, have dozens of questions hanging around their heads. There is an absolute goldmine of fan theories about Season 1 and what will be in Season 2, which has been confirmed. I'd love to talk about them, but there's so many that I won't have time to describe all the ones I liked. But I would recommend checking out the Reddit page on the show if you really want to see some good discussion on spoilers and possibilities for Season 2. What I liked most about Dark is that it's set up for a long-term series. As I stated earlier, time travel in film can be tricky to pull off, especially for film franchises or television series. It just doesn't always go smoothly when the rules of time travel are in play. Oftentimes the plot is either hampered trying to explain everything, and confusing, or worse, boring the audience, or it runs fast and loose with the rules for the sake of keeping it entertaining and hopes no one thinks about it too hard. Dark is one of the few time travel shows that do it right. It is not only extremely watchable, but manages to make sense if you really think about it. It's really awesome to see a foreign production not only done very well, but get recognized for it. And I feel like if Odar and Frazee stick the landing on Season 2, this might blow up even more. Dark is also one of those rare productions that don't fit into one specific category. It has elements of horror, drama, and mystery, just to name a few, but the show really succeeds without sticking to a certain one. When I watched the finale and saw it jump to 2052, it seemed like a big risk to me, but I think the show can make it work as long as they don't go outside Winden. I thought that was crucial to Season 1's success. It also makes sense for the show to give a real feeling of why we'd want to see the wormhole destroyed. I'm excited to see where they take the new direction. I also know the show got some comparisons to Stranger Things, but honestly I don't think there is a whole lot in common, and I find it to be a better TV show so far. Its tone is so much more dark, there's time travel, people die, plus it doesn't try to capitalize off the wave of 80s nostalgia going on right now. I'm very excited to see what Season 2 has in store, and what else will be uncovered. Will we finally figure out who Noah is and his end goal? What will happen to Ulrich after being lost in 1953? Where does Claudia fit in with all this? I have faith that Season 2 will be really good. And if you also enjoyed Season 1, I'd recommend it to some people. Foreign material always has way more hurdles in the path to becoming relevant versus what we are used to seeing. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you like this, smash that like button. If not, smash that dislike button. Subscribe and turn on notifications to stay connected, and comment below on what your favorite episode was, as well as any feedback on the video. The next video I'm doing will be a little bit different, but with the next Battlefield game being released later this year, I thought I'd talk a little bit about Battlefield 1 and what I liked. Thanks again for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
Let's go!